Good morning, everyone. Good morning. What is today, Jeff? The 20th of Shevat, January 30th. In today's lesson, Chavra, we're middle of chapter 23. We're on page 70 in the Chayenu. In today's lesson, all the organs of a person who are doing a mitzvah are a vehicle for Hashem's will. So it's interesting because last night, we mentioned in the Hayom Yom, it's very nice if you're a Jew in your heart, but you have to think of the oneness of God. That's part of the mitzvah. You have to think with your brain. And there are parts of your body that have to do other, functions of different mitzvahs pertain to different bodily parts, as we see with the tefillin. We put it on our arm, on our head. So how does that work? If we want to be completely dedicated and devoted to God, do we do it with our heart? All of our emotions, with all of our concentration? What about the rest of our body? Likewise, the external garments of the divine soul of the person fulfilling and practicing the mitzvahs, meaning the faculty of action, which is external compared to the faculties of speech and thought, since it functions outside of oneself. Speech goes outside your mouth, but thought is inside your mind, and emotions are inside your heart. But what about the external factors? What are they? They enclose itself in the vitality of the mitzvah, and thus they too they become like a body to a soul in relation to the divine will and completely surrender to Hashem's will. Meaning, the soul's power of action becomes united with the divine will in the same way as one's body is united with his soul. You can't say, my finger doesn't have a neshama, my hand doesn't have a neshama. It's all connected. So too, when you do a mitzvah, the organs of the human body which perform the mitzvah, the organs, the parts of your body, which the divine soul's faculty of action is clothed. My hand also has neshama in it during the performance of the mitzvah. They too become a vehicle, a chariot for the divine will. Kigoin hayod. For example, when you take your hand and you give tzedakah, or you give money to a poor person, or you perform any other mitzvah with your hand, it becomes, in the act of performing the mitzvah, a chariot to God's will. Our feet, which walk for the purpose of fulfilling a mitzvah. And by the way, again, wherever you're going, if you're wandering aimlessly around, then maybe it's klippas naiga at the very best. But as long as you have intention, okay, I'm walking and I check my Fitbit, I check my watch. So as I walk, I get a little healthy. It's not for nothing, and the health helps me serve Hashem. Of course, if you're walking to somewhere to do a mitzvah, even better. But even if you're walking to work to earn a livelihood, so your family could serve Hashem, right? So it goes back to the intention, but the feet are what get you there. So that's important. The feet which walk for the purpose of fulfilling a mitzvah, or the mouth and the tongue, hapev v'loshoin, hamedabrim divrei Torah. We have to be very careful what we say to make sure that we're always saying kind words or words of Torah. Or the brain. The brain's another organ, right? Is it an organ or a muscle? It's an organ. The brain reflecting on the Torah or the fear of heaven or on the greatness of Hashem, blessed be He. So we stop and we contemplate Hashem. We're using our brain, the muscles and the organs of the organ that is the brain, to think of Hashem. When these organs are occupied with mitzvahs, they're completely and totally surrendered to Hashem, like a chariot to the divine will, clothed in these mitzvahs. This is what the sages meant when they said that the patriarchs are truly divine, the divine chariot. Shekol Evrehem Kulam Hayu Kedoshim Umuvdalim Meinyane Olam Hazeh. Shekol Evrehem Kulam Hayu Kedoshim Umuvdalim Meinyane Olam Hazeh Veloy Nasu Merkava Rak L'Ratzayin Ha'Elyain Levadai Kol Yimehem. When it came to the patriarchs, all their organs were completely holy and detached from mundane matters. And throughout their lives, they served as a vehicle for nothing but the will of Hashem. The reason for the sages designated specifically by the patriarchs as God's chariot, although every Jew's body becomes a chariot when he performs a mitzvah, is that the patriarch's submission to the divine will was unique in its power, its scope, and consistently. It wasn't like at times when we do a mitzvah, but other times we're watching the game or we're, whatever. The patriarchs were completely and utterly dedicated and given over to God. All their organs were totally surrendered to the divine will throughout their lives. Whereas other Jews, we try, only those organs which perform a mitzvah are a chariot, and then only during the act. In fact, the same organ which today serves as a chariot to God's will might conceivably serve the opposite purpose tomorrow. So let's make sure that all of our bodily functions, our mind and our heart and our arms and our feet and our eyes and our ears and our mouths, what we say, of course, are dedicated and solely focused on serving Hashem. If we make a mistake or we take a little slip, it only means that we're not one of the patriarchs. It means that we're normal, we're human beings, that we have moments of weakness, if it's evil, if it's just mundane and nothing, productive, then okay, but we got to get back on track. And that's the whole point of learning the Tanya, is for the average person that we want to dedicate our lives to Hashem, and we wake up in the morning to come to Shul and Daven, and we have all the right intentions. So we take 2 steps forward in the morning or 5 steps forward. And once in a while we slip back. We have to quickly remind ourselves and try to stay as focused as possible. So the takeaway is, the bottom line, perform a mitzvah, and you become, at that moment, an extension and part of the divine will. What could be better than that, right, Adam? All right, Chavra, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.